Mislim, za začetek vam hotel povedati eno luštno pravljico, ki se začne tako. Mogoče jo kdo pozna, pa bi jo mogoče lepše povedal, definitivno najlepše prebrati. Začne se pa tako, zgodba o polžku je res čudovita, ker imel je za prijatelja kita. In zgodba govori o enem polžku, tak čisto majhen siv polžek, živi na ogromni veliki skali. In ta polžek je hotel potovati po svetu in ta polžek je hotel videti svet. Njemu bilo pa čisto preveč dolgočasno, da se tako eni sami ogromni dolgočasni sivi skali. In potem je napisal na svojo zatikajočo se slino iščem pot okoli sveta sporočilo. In to sporočilo je videl ogromen kit, ki je prišel iz daljnih morij. In ta naš mali polžek je skočil velikemu kitu na rep in sta šla in sta videla ledene gore in sta videla vulkane in aro in vse te ptice v tropskih krajih in želve. In potem sta prišla do Kanade in videla medveda in videla orla in videla se ogromne živali daljnih svetov. Potem pa nekega dne tale naš kit zaprl v zaliv in so ga tam zmotilo obrnenje vseh teh skuterjev, gliserjev, motorjev in vsega zgubil orientacijo, bila je vseka in ta naš ogromen kit je napravil. In če mogoče kdaj polžek prej se spraševal, jaz sem tako majhen, v bistvu sem manjši kot smet, kaj sem jaz proti tem velikem svetu, je v tistem trenutku nastopil za našega polžka trenutek, ko je lahko rešil situacijo. In kaj je naredil naš mali polžek? Pač kit, ogromen kot je bil, ležal je na plaži, polžek je začel s tem, kit, daj, premaknem se, pet nazaj v morje, tako ne bo šlo, ampak ni šlo, pač kit ni mogel pač se postaviti na noge in skočiti nazaj v morje. Zato je polžek šel in je šel v šolo. V šoli so pač taki najbolj dojemljivi prebivalci tega sveta, to so otroci. In na veliko tablo jim je napisal, rešite kita. Otroci pač niso se pustili dvakrat, trikrat prositi in so stekali. In potem so prišli gasilci in potem so prišli vsi pomembni meščani in vsi odrasli ljudje in so kita zalivali, potem prišla na pomoč odpliva in počas je naš kit lahko odplavil nazaj. In sta se vrnila. In mali polžek je prišel v svojo domačo, blizu svoje domače skale skupaj z novim prijateljem, s tem velikim kitom. In vsi ostali polžeki so se mu prej smejali v glavo, kaj si ti neumen, pač polžek mora pa ja živeti na skali, kam boš ne bom hoditi. So z veseljem poslušali zgodbice, ki so doživela polžek kit in sta rekla, kakšne zanimive dogodivščine sta doživela, kako je svet res zanimiv. In kaj se je zgodilo? Pač v tisti skali, kjer so bili polži, ki jih nisi mogel premakniti z tiste skale, se je zgodilo točno to, da so vsi tisti polži skočili kitu na rep in so se vsi skupaj odpravili še enkrat na pot pred sveta. Ful preprosta zgodbica. Vzamite si jo knjižnici, če imate kdaj čas. Lepa, nič več. A ste kaj na Facebooku bili v zadnjem času? Ne. To mi delamo. Mogoče to videl? Ne? Zihar ne? A ste rezali? Pa tudi Andrej. Mogoče še kdo posebno povedati. Skratka, danes je med nami en poseben človek. Poseben. Mislim, da je to prvič v zgodovini naše organizacije na svetu združenja gostimo nekoga pač tako daleč ven naše organizacije. Pač Ben prihaja ne samo, pač, da ni pač član naše organizacije, prihaja ne samo iz Slovenije, ampak tudi iz druge celine. Ben prihaja iz Kenije in Ben je danes z nami. Veliko vam povedal vse, pač človek je izredno zanimiv. Ja, še to. In vas govoril bo angliščini seveda, pač govori svahili, pa angliško, pa še dva druga jezika, ki se ne spomnim več točen. Ampak predlagam, da govori v angliščini. No, pa me zanima, če vsi razumemo angliško, to bomo lahko sledili tej predstavitvi. Oziroma tako, dvigajte roke tiste, ki razumete angliško, prosim. Simon je mi dolgo. Ampak kako oprostimo, ker niste eno leto. A ostali pa mislim, da zaznamo. Je oprobo, da bo govoril počas, pa različno, kakor bo rešlo. So I think I'll continue in English. And I would like to introduce Ben. And it's a challenge to pronounce his surname because you have to pronounce two O's at the beginning. So that's been Oko. And this is a very special guy. A very interesting fact to start with. Ben has been a scout for 1 day. And 1 day was enough for him to change the community where he grew up. So imagine what we can do, because most of us here have been scouts for more than 1 day. So I think it's very inspirational to see what 1 day can do, and a great opportunity for us to see and to challenge ourselves with what we can do as scouts. So, Vic, can you join us, please?
Hvala. That means thank you, yeah? Bravo. I'm just a few hours old in the Slovenian Republic, and I'm trying to learn my basics, yeah? By the end of the 4th day here, if I do not say 10 Slovenian words, do not allow me to go. Thank you. My name is Ben Oko, and I'm one of the founder members of an organization in Kibera, back in Kenya, known as Amani Kibera. Amani Kibera is a peace organization, and we promote peace using sports, value-based sports, education, and women empowerment. So, how many of you can guess my name? My age? Yeah? I look 16. Well, I'm 17. I was born and brought up in a big slum in Kenya, known as Kibera. Kibera is a huge slum, like you can see the pictures there, with a population of about 1 million people. I'm just one of these young people amongst the population of 1 million people. In Kibera, you do not have all the social facilities that you need, like running water, legal electric connection, and in many cases you also miss basic facilities like toilets and schools. We have really very basic things, and this is because of the neglect by the government. As at the moment, I would say there's a lot of transformation that is going on within the slum. For the first time, we see that there are roads that the government is trying to build, and also trying to give some kind of legal connection to electricity and things like that. So, like any slum, there are many challenges, violence being one of them. Levels of education are basically low, because less than 50% of these young people do not go beyond their primary school education. And that means that as young people, we are very vulnerable. We become a violent society because the society has socialized us to be violent. A lot of us turn into things like prostitution. Many of us start using things like drugs because we want to escape from the real harsh conditions and realities of basically what the slum offers us. In 2007, careless words from certain politicians incited our community to an extent that people started to fight against each other. These statements from these politicians made some of us think about what we could do so that as young people we can sit together and appreciate each other. So from this perspective, from that was basically the beginning of this great organization that we call Amani Kibera. So in Amani Kibera, like I told you, we use sports, and we use what you call value-based sports. It's not just the normal football or the normal basketball that we have. We use basketball or football to bring these young people together so that we are able to teach them the importance of coming together, the importance of building friendship, the importance of taking our differences as diversity. And this is the most important thing that we think like sports, and in our case, football as a tool that mobilizes all these people. I'll show you a video on how we engage young people to promote peace using sports. The YouTube. Okay. No, the other. Yeah. You can mute the sound, just let the video run and then I can speak. Yeah, so for the last 8 years, we bring young people together from Kibera slums. 3 years ago, we started to invite other young people also from across the country. Because in Kenya, issues and matters of tribalism is going beyond board. A lot of Kenyans today are killing each other because we are from different tribes. And this is because our politicians are taking the advantage of the high poverty levels to incite young people. So we have a campaign that we call Ukabila ni Ujinga, Uzalendo ni Hekima. This is Swahili word that means tribalism is stupidity. Patriotism is uzalendo. Uzalendo means patriotism is something great, you know? Like we all need to be patriotic. We all need to embrace each other. We all need to embrace the different cultures from which we come from. Like let us take our differences, our tribal or ethnic differences as diversity, something that brings us together. Something that unites us. As I speak, in the next 2 weeks, we will have one of our biggest ever Football for Peace soccer tournament, where we'll have 1,400 children, most of them coming from different parts of the country, coming together with us to play football. We will live with them in our families, and we'll just play football and try to bring this aspect of friendship, learning from each other and appreciating each other. Yeah. The second pillar that we use is education. And in education, we provide free library services. We have a free community library in Kibera. In this library, it's not just a place where people come to read books. This is a place where people come to interact. You do not have to be from a particular community to be able to access books within this library. What we did was we realized with education, we are able to overcome quite a lot of boundaries that we've placed for ourselves, or that the society basically has put for us. So by providing these kids with this safe space, where they're able to access books, to come and read, where they're able to access materials to come and do their homework, where they're able to access other kids from different families and different schools to discuss their educational needs. We are trying to build friendship amongst these people. So hence we are contributing to community development and also peace building. I'll let show you also a video about our community library that we do in Kibera.
students from all the private and public schools around. Such as a total of 350 students a day, weekdays, over 150 during weekend holidays. Dedicated to serve the children. In 2011 to 2013, we were the best community library in Kenya, which has enabled us to get the platform to now be recognized as one of the libraries that will provide free and the same services to the community serving. Other partners provided the materials.
Yeah, just mute the sound. Yeah, so basically this library for us is the pride of Kibera. We are really so proud of this because with this, we've managed to win 3 different national awards. 3 times it has become the community library of the year in the whole country in Kenya. We do different activities in this library. We organize kids workshops where we provide like painting materials, coloring materials, just activities that will kind of activate or awaken this sleeping giant in these kids. We do what we call the Books Club. And the Books Club is where students from different schools come together. They are put in the same table and they are given some materials that they are able to discuss and come up with solutions themselves. So, like in the different schools, there are those who are in very good schools, there are those who are in public schools, there are those who are in private schools, and the levels of teaching is completely different. So when we put these students in the same table, they are able to discuss, they are able to share, and they are able to learn together from each other. We serve at least 350, 400 students every day, free of charge in this library. Yeah, and then the other pillar of our organization is the women empowerment. So in women empowerment, basically we are doing this because like the girl child in Kibera faces quite challenging realities. A lot of them are not able to, go to school because the boy child is basically preferred. A lot of them misses schools because they are not maybe misses schools during those, menses period because they are not able to afford things like sanitary towels. A lot of them become teenage mothers because of the levels of poverty. A lot of them are actually married at a very tender age and they are abused by their husbands and they have nowhere to go. They have nobody to turn to. So most of these young girls who do not succeed in going on with their college education, we try to offer them basic trainings in tailoring skills and later on advance to fashion and design skills for these girls. We do this at an affordable price for those who are able to pay. And for those who are not able to pay, we offer the courses completely free. What you see there is our Girls Empowerment Center. And every year we train between 10 and 15 girls on tailoring and design skills. As we speak, we have trained 76 young boys and girls within the last 4 years. And the number keeps continuing. So I would like to play for you a video of some of the success stories that we have had from these economic empowerment activities that we do as an organization. I think there's something missing.
GJ introduced me to
there is some background music that should not be there.
and that's how I came to Amani Kibera. The real fashion.
There is some background music that should not be there. Yeah, but like you see, these are some of the young boys and girls who we call like a success story within the organization over the last 4 years. Ah, okay. You know the magic, yeah?
My name's Robert Mandela, also known as Roma Designs, alumni of Uwezo Fashion School and Amani Kibera. I'm raised and born in the slums of Kibera, but I'm staying in Embakasi, where my shop is located. I love fashion. I was selling designers' clothes without doing them by myself, of which I entered into the fashion business, hoping to advance more.
Kwa life yangu venye nilikuwa nataka, nilikuwa nafikiria kununua nguo, but sikuwa na opportunity ya kutoka kwenda kulaniza vitu ya pesa.
Hii design ilianza nikiwa bado ni mtoi. Budangu alikuwa designer na from hapo ndio nilikuwa na learn pole kutoka kwa budangu. So baadaye ndio nikaamua nifanye design.
Life yangu ilianza kuchange baada nipirane na mama anaitwa Mapeto Jolo. Mimi vile alipata akaniuliza kama nitaweza furahia mambo ya kushona. Nikamwambia hiyo ndio kitu yenye nilikuwa nafikiria, but nafasi ya kupata niende ndio nilikataza.
Apart from my own design, niko kwa shule ya Uwezo Fashion and Design School. Niko hapa kama head designer na nataka wajue more about design.
GJ introduced me to Amani Kibera, where he's teaching fashion and design, and that's how I came into Amani Kibera and learned about the real fashion business.
Nilikuwa mmoja chuo sasa, niliwatuma na rongrong tumta siku hapa nataka kufanya kwa mchukua hapa ni design na hiyo design ya size mali nimefika mali kisha mpaka nimefikisha size na shona, naweza shona ndani hand sana sasa iko nje kwa labda ya cheni kutoka hapo.
Amani Kibera nimekaa for 1 year ambao nimelearn kushona fashion design, na ile design sasa hii imenisaidia kwa maisha. Sasa hizi kwa hapa baadaye nimeajiriwa kwenye kamake na shona manguo.
Shule yetu bado iko juu cause hapa vitu tunafanya practical. Vitu zenye zinafanya practical inakuwa easy kwa mtu mwenye ana than theory. Cause ukiambia mtu theory na hauifanyi practical unapata pengine anaweza boeka, but tunafanya na yeye practical.
That's why I can now wear a jumper that is made of myself. I have a t-shirt, it's a batik t-shirt done by me, and I'm now happy because I'm a living designer from the past. My dream came true.
The challenges that I face as a designer, most of the Kenyans in the Kenyan market are more into mtumba clothes, because mtumba clothes, they find it at a cheaper price than somebody doing some Roma designs for himself. My expectation is that some days we'll leave all those mtumba and imported clothes from foreign countries and venture into more designers clothes made by Kenyans, and that will promote and boost our market. Fashion and design nataka mtu mwenye ana passion kuifanya. So kama uko hapo nje na unajisikia kufanya fashion and design na uko na passion ya kuifanya, wewe kuja Uwezo Fashion and Design School.
Ama tapemi ni waweke tu pale nafunza mwalimu nafanya kazi hapa.
They should just be motivated. There is a chance for everyone. There's no one who cannot learn. Make a step. As early as possible, you'll become one. We'll compete. I'm waiting.
Thank you. So this is part of our economic empowerment program. Basically, it started as a girls empowerment program because of the many challenges that our girls were facing in Kibera. We started to do fashion and design because all the girls that we had at that moment wanted to do tailoring skills. These are skills that, for example, if you get, it's either you are able to get employment or you can start some kind of business that will make you earn from your living. We do global education, and global education at this time is something that is very, very important, that we need to think beyond our borders. So with our global education programs, we have exchange programs that we do internally, and we also do with schools abroad. Internally, we engage schools, high schools and primary schools, to have exchange activities based on academics, based on the life, based on environment, based on sporting activities amongst themselves. And externally, we, for example, at the moment partner with some schools in Denmark and also in Czech Republic, one school, where the students are able to learn from each other. The internet does all this magic. So through the internet, through Facebook, through Skype, the students are able to speak with each other. They're able to break all these stereotypes that the global knows about the global south. They're able to tell each other the realities of the situation. They're able to share topics in biology, in mathematics, in science. They're able to come up with common solutions. So it's one very big aspect of growth and for us of peace building, because today we need to have a society of people who think about solutions to the challenges that the globe faces today. In our organization, life skill training is something that is very, very important. So we train our young people on communication skills, employability skills, things like how to write your CV, things like how to present yourself for an interview, communication skills, and we certify these young people. So by the time you come out from there, you just do not only play football or you do not only play basketball, but you also learn. So this part of learning, this is what we call the value addition in the sporting activities that we basically do. The last component of our project is basically modeling. We have community beauty contest, and for us, community beauty contest, the modeling aspect is not that modeling of you must be size 10 or size 14. So the girls, you don't need to starve yourselves to, so that you can attain this level of this kind of body that conventionally we are told this is beauty. For us, our definition of beauty is somebody who is able to represent the young people or who is able to represent the community in a positive way while out there, or somebody who is able to influence positive change to the young people or to their peers within the slum. So all the girls that you see here, as beautiful as they look, coincidentally some of them were tall, others were short. I think it's just camera trick to make them tall. They are all trained on leadership skills. They are all trained on how to do mentorship. So after their contest, we find one lady who will work with the rest of them. This lady is the title holder of Miss Amani Kibera. So she is a peace ambassador, and she's also an ambassador of Kibera as a whole. Somebody who is able to represent this community and to show the good side of all this, of what this community is all about. So every year we inspire between 15 and 20 young leaders through our community beauty initiatives. And as a result, we get so many other young people starting to engage themselves in doing community activities so that they are able to contribute in one way or the other in changing their society. Questions? Yeah.
How many people are there in the community and how many people are in your project?
How many people are there in the community and how many people are in our project? Well, Kibera has about 1 million people. And our project directly reaches about 10,000 people maximum. Directly, that is in terms of direct participation in the activities that we do. With the bigger number of those who get our information, it's big. But those that we engage directly with our sporting activities, library, educational activities, all these global educational activities and the different campaigns we do, we could talk about 10,000 people. Yeah. Question? The question can be based on anything. Go beyond what I've made a presentation here about. Yeah.
How did it all start? How did you begin to do what you do?
Yeah. In 2007, we did our election, and we all know that Kenya nearly went into civil war because of these elections. Actually, we call it contested elections, or disputed elections. So during the launch of the government party's manifesto at that moment, certain senior politicians were speaking so negatively about Kibera, giving all the worst examples with Kibera. They were telling you, because one of the politicians who wanted to be president was the member of parliament of Kibera. So in the TV, this campaign was being aired live nationally. So these senior government politicians were saying, like, if you elect this politician, then Kenya will look like Kibera. So for us, at that moment, we felt like, well, Kibera is not the making of the people who live in Kibera. Kibera is the making of the government. Because if the government wanted, Kibera shouldn't look like it looks today. Kibera does not have schools, like for example, government schools, not enough government schools. There was no single government hospital in Kibera. So we thought like, okay, why are these people speaking so negatively? And then why they're also dividing people along tribal lines? So what happened is, all of a sudden there was just tension in Kibera. Certain communities started running away from Kibera because everybody feared. People looked at each other, people were just suspecting each other. So at that moment, me and my 3 other colleagues coincidentally called each other. And we were like, did you hear that? And we thought like, okay, we need to do something. about it. So the same evening we meet over coffee. You know, these are the importance of doing coffee or tea. We met over coffee, but we drank tea. Yeah. So we discussed, and we thought like it would be important to do some peace campaigns in Kibera. And we came up with a strategy. And we thought like we should call this peace campaign Amani Kibera. Amani means peace. So it means peace in Kibera. That was the theme of the whole campaign. So we mobilized many other young leaders whom we thought, and we invited them for a meeting, and together we planned how we were going to do this peace campaign. And one of the most important things that we decided to do was to go in each of the 13 villages in Kibera within 7 days, and also to ask people to sign peace charters, that we will maintain peace, we will not accept to be divided along our tribal, political, or ethnic differences. Let us all remain as one people and be in peace like we've always lived together. So within the whole week, we need slightly more than 10,000 signatures from people in Kibera. These were young people who were just going out. We had ribbons from the decorations, tie white ribbons in the hands of people. Every politician who was campaigning at that time, we met them, and actually some of them were brought by members of the community to come and pledge, to say that I will campaign peacefully, I will not incite the people, I will not incite my voters, and I will ensure that my campaigns basically unite the people. And they say this publicly, we were recording this, they were signing some peace charters, and we told them, like, should you campaign against whatever you say, then we will campaign against you. So this is how Amani Kibera started. But after election, there was terrible war because of the disputed election. Already the country was very, very volatile. And Kibera was one of the worst affected areas. So during this time, people started fighting. Many people were killed in Kibera. Property was destroyed in Kibera. There was basically no life. It's like we stopped living. So at that moment, a lot of organizations came back to us, asking whether we could do another peace campaign. But we thought like maybe it's better to do something more than just that peace campaign, which is an event. So that's how Amani Kibera was born. Of course, during the war, some of us risked our lives. We tried to mediate, because many of these young people, we know them, we've grown up together. In the slums, we faced the same challenges and risks. And it was easy to kind of stop some of the violence that was going on. And the young people started to protect their villages and basically stopped burning the property that they were burning or killing people like they were doing. So in 2008, we thought like it's better to give Kibera pillars of peace, and that's how Amani Kibera was born. Yep. Question? Thank you. There are scouts groups in Kibera, but lately we are thinking seriously about how to do like serious scouting activities within the organization, but to connect with the aspect of peace building too. Yeah, peace building and education. So I hope by the time I come from here and be knowledgeable enough to start something. I was a scout for one day. And I was told that once a scout, always a scout. So I'm proud that I'm still a scout. Question? Yeah.
there any possibility that scout leaders from our organization could come to Kibera and do something in your organization?
I think there's every possibility.
An
we-
invitation for 2017 already, so be prepared, it's just 2 years.
Yeah, we were speaking with Barbara and the team when they bought me the most important meal in Slovenia. I forgot the name. Martina Pacoini. Poinina. Yeah, so we ate Martina Poinina and white wine. It was delicious, and I think also this is the most important meal in Slovenia and in your history. It actually marks the end of some wine drinking or wine production or something. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so as you were speaking, I think there are possibilities. There are many possibilities that we are able to partner together. To come, not just to offer your services, but also to come and learn from what we are doing. So I think like this kind of relationships will be very important also for us, as much as it will be important for you guys. Yeah. We spoke, and I was sending an official invitation because in 2017 we will be celebrating our 10th anniversary. So I was like, we can join hands and we can have your team come down there and just to celebrate all these 10 years together. Yeah. As we celebrate our achievements and our service to the community. Yeah? You can start saving now. if your president accepts. Yeah. Another question? It could be on anything. Yeah.
Do you work on promotion? I don't know, do you promote yourself on Facebook or something like that? And how, like mobile devices and these things, do you use it too? And the second question, how do you, how do you work or communicate with your volunteers?
How do we work on communication with our volunteers? Good question. We use internet, every aspect of internet, Facebook, Skype, Twitter, our website, and things like this to be able to spread the information and also to get in touch with the volunteers, people that we work with. Back at home, definitely phone calls, and then we also have like meetings where these young people come and we share together, we plan for activities together, we develop projects together, and just do the implementation together. Yeah, and then for promotion of our activities, we have an active Facebook account. It's called Amani Kibera. There are actually two. One is a page and the other one is an account, so you can like it. Or you can also like add friend and then we can support you. And then secondly, we also have a YouTube account. If you just search for videos with Amani Kibera, you'll see a number of videos from the several years that we've been working here. And then we also have a website, which is www.amanikibera.org. Yeah. So for those of you who are on Facebook, you can help us to win 1,000 euros in the next 10 days. It's simple. You go to our Facebook account. There is a campaign that we are asking people to help us to vote. Click on that website and vote for that project. And you may help us win 1,000 euros within the next 10 days. After you voted, you can ask your friends to vote also for us. Is it that enough campaign? Yeah, another question? Yeah.
Can you imagine what to do with those 1,000 euros?
We will buy 250 textbooks. Yeah. Oh, you found it? Yeah. Another question?
How much time your volunteers spend or invest in your organization on a year level?
We have different levels of volunteers. There are those who come in when we have activities, and there are those who spend, say, a few hours a week whenever there's something that they need or we need from them. But we have those who spend between 8 and 6 and maybe 12 hours a day working for the organization. But for the volunteers who come from abroad, we will always, we prefer somebody who will come and spend at least 3 weeks, 3 months. Because within 3 months, we are able to work on some concrete projects, and they are able to, learn enough, and we are also able to learn from them so much. Occasionally, we have people who say, like, well, I'm coming between this time and this time. Is there any activity that I'm able to do within this time or not? So, like an example, right now we have one Hungarian lady who has only time during the tournament. So she will be there between 28th of November and 2nd of December to help with the preparations of the tournament. Yeah. Yep.
What about financing? How do you get the money?
How do we get the money? This is a big challenge. For us, we work with, we do a lot of proposal writing. We send them to different foundations. But over the years, we are also establishing partners with people from different countries. And we try to apply for the government funds from these particular countries. One of them is Polish Green Network in Poland that helped us to build that beautiful house that you saw that houses our Girls Empowerment Center today. We've also worked with COPIN, in Isdiamet from Malta, and they actually helped us to secure money from the government to finance the machines that today we use at the fashion school. We've also gotten some money from either of the organizations to buy books and computers that we put in our library. Besides that, we have a public address system. Speakers like this that we hire to other organizations or people who would like to use it so that we can generate money for our program. At the Girls Empowerment Center, we also produce clothes or sanitary towel holders, and we sell them to people. So this is how we manage to get support for our organization. Yeah. And individual donations is very important for us. Yeah. Question? Yeah? Yeah.
What is your impression about Slovenia?
What's my
Impression about Slovenia? You said we can ask you anything. So.
Yeah. To be sincere, I'm so happy to be here. Went through many hills and valleys, lots of small mountains there, and it's beautiful. I like your nature. And I was asking if these are indigenous trees or they are those, trees that are just planted to cover the forest. And I was told 60% of your land is actually forest, and I think this is very, very good. In Kenya, we are working towards the opposite, because we are cutting a lot of our forests. We have a lot of campaign to plant more trees, but we cut more trees more than what we are planting. So this I miss so much in Kenya. And your food, I've just had one meal that left me with lasting impression. Martina Danidina, huyo. Poedina. Martina Poedina. For me, that was just amazing. Yeah. I'm here to spend the night, so after I spend the night, I can give my impression of the night. And you had a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is how education system works in your country? Do you have any What's your few questions? Yeah, always, you know, the youth employment, the youth crowd is getting jobs and
Yeah, well, I do not know the exact statistics in terms of unemployment, but a majority of Kenyans are unemployed. Many young people do not have jobs. And today, the situation is even becoming worse because many businesses are closing down because they're not doing any kind of business. The economy is basically running down. To answer your question about education system, we have preschool, which is about 2 to 3 years, and then we have primary school, which you go for 8 years. After 8 years, you do your national school examination. And then if you pass, you will be called to a very good school. If you do not pass well, you go to any other school. There are about 4 or 5 classes of schools. We have national schools, county schools, district schools, and then those community schools. So depending on how you perform in your national examination, you go to those levels. The difference between the schools are huge. There are many schools, for example, in the county or district schools without labs, the science laboratories. But at the end of your 4 years in secondary school, you must sit for practical lessons in those labs. So a lot of people sometimes just guess, you know. After 4 years in secondary school, you go to university or colleges. So in college, it depends on what course you're going to do, but it will take you between 4 years and 6 or 7 years if you're doing medical courses. Yeah. But less than 10% of Kenyans actually go to universities. That is how bad the situation is. I would say less than 50% go to secondary school, and less than 10% of those who go to secondary school go to universities. For reasons that we do not have enough secondary schools, we do not have enough public universities, and the other aspect of expenses that are related to education. Education is expensive in Kenya, you have to pay. Yeah. Yeah.
Is Kibera the only slum in Kenya?
No.
So
but it's the largest in Kenya and in Africa.
So in other slums there is some kind of a similar project like yours?
There are many young people who are doing so many different projects, very good projects. And yeah, I would say there are many young people who would like to change the situation. So if you walk across the slums, you find a lot of different engagements with young people or communities trying to change the whole situation. Yeah. Question? I know scouts have a lot of questions. They don't just keep quiet like this, eh? Yeah.
Is the government taking you, let's say, a little bit serious, your organization right now, after you've done some work? Is there any
Well, I think over the years, we command a lot of respect from the government. And for the first time this year, we partnered with a government agency that is supposed to promote peace building to do the National Peace Campaign. So our organization was in the National Steering Committee for the International Day of Peace. Yeah. So from that, we were coordinating the Sports for Peace activities within the organization, and it was so positive. Yeah.
The last two questions, if we have.
Last questions?
The last two, maybe? 1, 2.
1, 2, yeah.
Next. Yeah. No more questions.
Today we have football match.
Yeah.
Between Slovenia
And Ukraine.
Who will you cheer for?
For the sake of peace, you know where my vote is. Yeah? Yeah. So any last questions from you? You have something? No.
How the project is big. How do you see your role in this project?
My role?
Yeah, yes, you like person.
Well, all I can say is I eat, I sleep, I drink, I walk, I sit, Amani Kibera. My life is now Amani Kibera because I would like to see that we are able to influence some kind of change and able to bring some kind of peace, some kind of friendship, some kind of cohesion within the Kibera community. That we are able to connect the whole world with Kibera so that people have a different perception of what a slum is. So for me, this is the most important thing. Yeah.
What does your wife say about this?
What my wife says?
What does your wife say about this?
Well, she is not a thing. But yeah, but she supports me fully, and as a result, now she's also part of the team that organizes Amani Kibera. And for your information, she was also a girl guide. And today I just learned that Baden-Powell said that if you want to live a happy life, then you must marry a girl guide. So I must say, he inspired me.
You did this one day.
So thank you very much for listening. I'll be around for dinner, hopefully. So should you have any questions, just keep asking and then keep voting. Thank you.
And we have started those partnership debates already, so there is much more to come. I hope.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, everything. We do share one passion, and that's football. That's for you to take back home, and we'll hopefully invite you to watch the game with us for today. Did that feel some more?
Thank you.
Do we kiss now?
Remember our organization. This is written in Scouts. This is a short name of our organization.
Thank you very much.
Here is a slide.
And thank you for the, was it the sketch or the photo?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It was a photo or something?
You will see in the
I will
surprise.
see the surprise.
Yeah.